Oh, okay. Good morning, Susan. I'm Dan. We met before a couple days ago on the lawn, and it's very nice of you to grant this interview to discuss the issue of student homelessness and food insecurity at SMC. Um, First of all, can you explain your position as Director of Health and Wellbeing here?
Sure. I am the Director of Health and Wellbeing at Santa Monica College, so that means I oversee the health center, which is where you are today. We have nurses, nurse practitioner, part-time registered dietitian, and I also oversee our Center for Wellness and Wellbeing, which is mental health services, and that includes 2 full-time psychologists and a mixture of unlicensed and licensed part-time staff.
Okay, thank you. First, I know that you're aware of how serious the issue we're discussing is. I know you deal with it firsthand every day. What resources do you have access to that are being applied to working on the issue and seeking a solution?
For homelessness.
For homelessness?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things. One is the county has the County Department of Mental Health has 3 top initiatives that they're working on in terms of where they're putting the majority of their funding. One of those 3 top issues is homelessness. And I'm relatively new to SMC. I started in August. Before this, I worked for a contracted agency that had county dollars. So I have some familiarity about homeless services. We work very closely with community-based providers, 2 in particular, that help to identify clients, individuals who are homeless, and then work to house them. Now that's a simplification. When someone is identified as homeless, depending on their age, we'll refer them to one of 2 places. And generally speaking, we refer to others, but often it's one of 2. St. Joseph's, which is in Venice, and Safe Place for Youth, SPY, which is also located in Venice. St. Joseph's works with adults. SPY works with what we call transitional age youth. And that's 18 to 25. Okay. Those organizations have dedicated case managers who go through a screening with the individual, and based on their level of need, will prioritize housing.
Okay.
So that's really what we do. So we really provide a warm handoff to community-based partners to start the process, because the process is long and it's not easy.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I can imagine. How much of your time as Director of Health and Wellbeing on campus is spent working with students that are facing issues like these? Yes, compared to other things you work on?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's hard probably to, without tracking the time, to say how much time. But because I'm an administrator, a lot of what I'm doing is working on, one, supervising staff who are doing the work.
Yeah.
2, working on obtaining grants that will help us work with community-based partners to do this work.
Yeah.
So I would say at least 25% to 30%.
Right.
And some meetings that I attend are relevant to providing services to homeless students. So I sit on a crisis prevention team, which we're changing the name to care and prevention team. Some of the students that are reported to the crisis prevention team are also homeless, so talking about those students as well. And that team meets every 2 weeks. And then I'm on another committee called the Basic Needs Committee, and that's identifying not just issues around housing, but basic needs in terms of making sure that students who are homeless have food they need.
Yeah.
And so identifying ways that we can increase food access on campus. So right now we have 5 food pantries on campus. They're relatively small. They're more like food closets, not a full pantry. But there's no questions asked. Any student can walk in and get food in these pantries.
Great. Is the term still food insecurity? Is that how they term it? Or?
I mean, here, that's
Yeah.
the term, and I think at the national level, that
Yeah.
is the term.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, that's what you
It's
would
a good
call
way of describing it, I guess. Good enough word.
Yeah, I mean, not having enough food to eat if we just want to be two humans talking about,
Yeah.
food
Yeah.
insecurity is a term, but really the issue is you don't have the funds to purchase enough food,
Yeah.
and those funds that you do have are allocated in other areas.
Right. So I have, according to a new survey that we found this article, a current article, a new survey commissioned by the System Board of Trustees, School System Board of Trustees, 1 in every 5 of the Los Angeles Community College District, 230,000 students are homeless, and nearly 1/3 can't afford to eat properly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you consider that over the last several years the problem has gotten worse, stayed about the same, or improved?
So it says 1 out of every 5 students is homeless, and 1/3 are 1 in 3 don't have enough food to eat.
Can't afford, to eat properly. That's from their study.
And when was the study done?
2018, I think, is the date of the article.
We have the food insecurity. Yes, I mean, I definitely would say we see a lot of food insecurity.
Yeah.
Homelessness is a little harder to track because it depends on how you define it.
Yeah.
Lots of folks are staying with someone, but it's not a permanent type of situation. They could have an open-ended invitation or not be welcome, or it could be uncomfortable. So it really does depend on how you define it. Even at the county level, if you're an adult and you're sleeping on someone's couch, that doesn't count as being homeless.
Okay.
Right? So it really does kind of depend.
Yeah.
So I really can't speak to it. Right now at SMC, we're trying to figure out a way to better track our homeless students because there is a question on the financial aid application that asks if you're homeless. And I think recently there was a report done that said around 100 and just under out like 140 self-identified, and we know that it's not accurate.
That's lower than it
We know
actually-
that that's lower.
Lower than it
Yeah.
actually is. So, school. Okay. In your opinion, is the school administration putting enough effort and attention into dealing with homelessness at SMC? Could they be doing more?
I would say we are doing as much as we possibly can. I think that people really, I would say, administrators at the top, and then when we look at classified staff providing services up, really do care and are doing everything they can. And often it's outside of their I don't want to say job responsibilities, but time spent at work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have folks who oversee auxiliary services, which is funding that SMC has.
Yeah.
Administrators working for auxiliary services that just care about this issue and have organized the Corsair market.
On their own, kind of?
On their own, yeah, in conjunction with other folks. But I mean, people really do care here, and so I think we're doing as much as we can within kind of the limitations and the budget we have to provide, the services that we can.
Because that was my next question. Does the school itself have enough resources, staff, and money it needs to tackle the issue?
No.
No.
No. I don't. It's a huge issue. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think LA has the largest homeless population in the country.
Yeah, that's what I hear. And also the community college system in LA is like the worst in the country.
Well, that would make sense
Yeah.
because then it's in alignment with the population at large in
Population at large.
So if the county can't handle it,
Yeah.
I don't know how the college is going to handle it.
Yeah, and then what? Prices to rent are higher in California in general than other parts of the country.
Exactly,
Yeah.
especially in LA. I mean, I think the way in which you are going to effectively solve this solution is to have it at a community college level is to develop housing for homeless students.
Housing.
We do have a shelter that's just for homeless students, Bruin Shelter, but I think it's under 10 beds, I believe.
Yeah, we're aware of that.
Yeah. So, you know, as much as I would like to be hopeful about it, I don't think we have the resources dedicated to be able to like solve homelessness. It's also very complicated.
Well, there was that measure, what age or whatever it was. There's the tax money going towards this, and everybody's fighting over it. I hear. Yeah, that's another issue. Do you think the city government is working hard enough to find a solution? The city officials, in conjunction with the school.
City of Santa Monica?
Yeah, City of Santa Monica.
You know, I can't speak to, honestly, all the initiatives that the City of Santa Monica is doing, but I will show you this nifty little thing I got.
Oh, nice.
We came and had a, and you can take one if you want.
Okay.
It's a practical toolkit about homelessness that was developed by the City of Santa Monica. Because I think the city is very, and you can see the first page where it says hello. One of the things that the representative from the city came and spoke about when she presented this little booklet is that people in the community are afraid of homeless people. You and I probably see it on the streets every day. You step over them, you don't communicate with them, you don't talk with them, as if they're less human.
Yeah.
And so one of the first things that she really spoke about was trying to instill humanity in the community. I mean, there are people like you and I. It's a fine line. You know, all you have to do is lose your job, have some trauma, engage in some substance use, and there you are.
Yeah.
And so the first line on this booklet is hello. And the idea is making the connection. They are your community member.
Yeah.
They're not someone else.
Yeah. Exactly.
And instead of calling the police and wasting those resources, assuming that they'll be dangerous, what about kindly asking them to, you know, move their belongings so you can get out of your driveway or whatever it is you need.
Yeah.
So I do think the city is, I think Santa Monica is creative in the way that they are approaching the issue. I can't speak to whether or not they're doing everything they can. We're not seeing the numbers go down.
You know,
As far as I know, I don't think the numbers are decreasing.
Are they increasing or?
That I don't know.
That was the other question I had related to what you just said. Do you see compassion or fear with students at SMC who come into contact with homeless students who are not housing insecure themselves? You know, is it students? I know you spoke about the community in general, but the students, how do they react when they know somebody or they see somebody that's struggling?
I don't know if I can speak to students' compassion because I don't think I haven't been at SMC long enough to really see a lack of compassion. But I will say there is still a lot of bias around individuals who are chronically homeless. And by chronic, I mean they've been on the street for years and years and years. Not someone who's couch surfing, who might be a little bit younger. I mean, we have students here who are homeless, disabled, on substances, still going to class.
Yeah, still going to class.
And everybody has the right. I mean, some people really do want to stay on the street, and they have the right to do that too. But that's rare. Most people do want, a safe place to rest their head.
So, that was a question. Can you say that homeless students in general are committed to their education despite their their circumstances?
The students I've met who are homeless who are still here at SMC, it is their priority to be here at SMC. And other things will fall to the wayside so that they can be a student. So
they're paying fees for books and tuition, and they don't have the fees?
Well, if you're homeless, you're eligible for financial aid.
So they don't.
And I actually just got a resource this morning. If you're interested, I can print it out for you. Actually, I'm sure you would be. We got it from Safe Place for Youth, and it is called the Burton Book Fund. So this is, recipients are awarded $200 to be used at their campus bookstore to purchase textbooks. Now this, in particular, is for students who are in foster care or were in foster care after their 13th birthday. But you can apply for financial aid and receive money to help pay for your books if you're homeless.
Okay.
So, and that would, I mean, I'm not the financial aid expert, but I did receive financial aid when I was younger. So
Totally.
I do know that it's possible.
But that's sort of one factor that creates a problem, is that these students who are maybe low income to begin with have limited resources, and then they have to use some of their resources towards school, which takes away from resources they would need for housing. So they have a budgeting problem.
Well, one of the things that we do also have on campus is a case manager who can help connect homeless students. Let's say, for example, they don't
Is that
want...
like Lena, the woman?
Yeah, exactly. So let's say it's not housing that the person wants in the moment, right? There's lots of government benefits that people are eligible for. Right next door in this office, we have Mika Webb, who is our food security consultant and who's working with us for a whole year to get students enrolled in CalFresh.
Okay.
Free grocery money right there.
Great.
So the college is doing a lot of things to kind of help offset some of the costs that are associated with academia to make sure that students are eligible for all the benefits that they're eligible for.
Yeah.
If you're disabled, you might be eligible for Social Security Disability or SSI. So Lena helps to connect you to places like the Social Service Department to make sure you're eligible for everything that you should be.
So the services you provide, or the avenues that you open up, are they similar to other schools, community colleges? Are you aware, or are you kind of unique? Do you have a unique approach, or kind of just?
I think lots of colleges are doing lots of things, but and this would be a good question for Lena, because she recently went to a basic needs conference. And I didn't get to attend that. I was at a different conference. As far as I know, when they attended that conference, a lot of the things that were shared, SMC was already doing.
Okay, so it sort of ahead of the.
So I think that we're leading the way, or at least one of the colleges helping to lead the way to get a hold of the issue.
Yeah, good to hear. What else do I want to ask? Would you think that, just like what you just relating to what you said, do you think that your department tries to think outside of the box, seeking solutions?
Oh my gosh, all the time.
All the time?
Yeah, all the time. There was just a mini grant that was offered for $5,000. We had like a week to get it together to apply for it. But we're going to put on a really cool, it's around mental health and wellness, but in my mind that includes homelessness. And so having community partners. So we applied for it and we got it together and we worked tirelessly to hopefully get the grant. So I think we're always trying to think of ways to, we're trying to find more ways to partner with Safe Place for Youth so that they can come on campus and do what's called kind of a one-stop shop model. So they come and sit on campus and students who are homeless can just meet with that case manager and start the application for housing that day, as opposed to go over to Spy on Lincoln.
Okay.
So bring the services here.
Do you have announcements posted on campus, different parts of campus, to get the attention of the homeless people so they know who to contact? Like flyers are in, things like that, circulate flyers.
Yeah, one of the things I think SMC does well is produce a lot of paper. I don't have the ability to email students. And I think the idea is students already get enough emails. So we do try and notify faculty and send district bulletins about events that are going on with the hope that they will then let the students know. And then with larger events, we would let Corsair know so that they can cover it and kind of let students know what's going on. But also, last week we had an event called Send Silence Packing with book bags all in the quad, which you were at.
I was there.
So really doing things in a more visual way. And we sent it out via email and had paper. But I think reaching people is always a challenge because you always want to think about, well, if I'm a student, how would I find this out? I know students who never check their email.
Mhm.
And there's so much paper around, as I just mentioned.
Yeah.
What do you look at?
Yeah. Is
So
it the responsibility of like the faculty to identify a student in their class who they think may be facing these issues?
I think it's everybody's responsibility.
So you would encourage students to like report to you on somebody that they feel is like in danger?
A faculty member, you mean?
Well, even a student. Like another student.
Oh yeah, and we have the ability. We have a team, the care and prevention team, that encourages faculty, staff, and students to report a concern.
Oh, okay.
That means report a student with any needs that you're not sure about or
Yeah.
concerning behavior, and then let us reach out to that student
Oh, okay,
if you
good.
don't feel comfortable. But I would love to see a day when anyone's comfortable approaching someone who's homeless
Mhm.
and lends a helping hand.
Mhm.
You know, like, hi, I'm so and so. You
Yeah.
know, is there someone I can connect you with?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're human.
Yeah, exactly. We were a little hesitant. There's one man in our class who just we get the sense that he may be struggling, but we didn't know if we should approach him. We didn't want to put him like on the spot. We didn't want him to talk about something he didn't want to talk about stuff. So we were going to maybe ask him if he wanted to do an interview with us, but we decided not to. That was the group consensus. I thought we could. I kind of get the sense he'd be open to talking to us, but
What's your indication that he's struggling?
well, in the beginning of the class, he made some comments to the class about his living situation, I think, and
So he was open about it.
yeah, in the beginning, and I think he has some mental health issues just by the way he communicates, and but yeah, we were torn whether we should approach him because we would like to do an interview with somebody.
So in this case, because you had mentioned that out
Yeah.
of the fair, and then I said it depends,
Yeah,
and that's why I asked what was your indication. If you have someone who openly shares, that already is an invitation for at least one person to say, you know, hey, I really appreciated you sharing
yeah,
your situation about whatever your situation is. You know, I mean, if it's an interview, you know, you can ask about the interview, but, you know, I would also encourage, you know, someone to say, like, is there someone I can help connect you with? Did you know that the
Yeah.
campus has resources?
yeah. He's a smart guy, so but yeah, maybe because he sort of opened the door in the beginning when he did open up for the class in the beginning about his living situation. So yeah, I think we'd be
Sounds appropriate to me.
appropriate, in
Yeah.
approaching him.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll talk to the other group members about that. I guess just one more question. Do you think that overall the level of awareness of the issue in the community is increasing? People sort of
Yeah, I think, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say because I work in social services, so I'm in my bubble
yeah.
with other professionals who
Yeah.
are of like mind.
Mhm.
Outside of this bubble,
Yeah.
I don't know if if people feel as much of a need to solve
Yeah. Mm.
the issue.
Mm.
But campus wide,
Yeah.
I think folks who are not in a helping profession,
Mhm.
teachers, people in different academic counselors,
Mhm.
they're all on board.
Yeah.
So just SMC as a microcosm, I think cares. But in the larger community, I mean, I think people care about the issue, but I think nobody really knows how to tackle it.
Well, the elections coming up and governor and whatever else, the candidates are like talking about homelessness in general more.
They should be. They should be concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, people should be appalled. We have, again, the largest homeless population.
Yeah.
I was listening to a news article, a radio podcast.
Mhm.
It was a guy from the Netherlands who was driving through Skid Row. I don't know if you've ever been to Skid Row.
Yeah.
He was hearing an outsider speak about his disgust
Yeah.
with how our country
Mhm.
disregards
Yeah.
individuals
Yeah.
like they're garbage.
Mhm.
Was very eye-opening.
Mhm.
for me. And I think that's the perception sometimes of homelessness.
Yeah.
That people are dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
that people are, thieves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, it's a fine line.
Yeah.
Often people who are homeless struggle with some kind of trauma
Mm-hmm.
in their lives,
Mm-hmm.
substance abuse,
Mm-hmm.
which is a disease.
Yeah.
So we're talking about health conditions. We're talking about mental health conditions.
Yeah.
I mean, they're human beings.
Yeah. Just
So.
remember they're human beings.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
Love to see your paper.
yeah, it's a oral presentation.
Uh-huh.
Inhaling deeply to prepare and exhaling. In fact, if anything, the more important part is to remember to exhale, because we tend to hold our breath and when we get nervous, and then that's part of how our voices start to get higher as we go because we're nervous. And that all begins to clench up in our diaphragm. So we were taught to remember to keep breathing and breathing deeply. That helps a lot to ground you in the moment, and I still practice that all the time, especially once you're actually doing something, because once you're actually in the moment and acting, hopefully your mind is very clear. You're not really thinking in the same discursive mind that you normally do.